Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Mr. Boesen? Mr. Boesen?
Here.
Mr. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mrs. Klein?
Here.
Mr. Foyce?
Here.
Mr. Grieder?
Here.
And Mrs. Juon?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda of the council work session as proposed.
Second.
That motion has been made with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
You know, this mask doesn't help if you didn't have a mint in your mouth or something. So just thought I.
Throw yourself under the bus.
But we have a discussion of a resolution urging the governor of the state of Iowa to prorate 12-month liquor license fees. Mr. Morrissey, would you please let us know your thoughts, sir?
Well, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a follow-up on the oral comment section last week, which I brought this up, and I brought this up as a result of conversations that I had then with primarily Steamboat Joel Hundley, but also a couple other small business people since that time. And this is just dealing with one license issue, but it does have a very impactful it's an impactful issue for those businesses that have the annual liquor license and what goes into obtaining and getting approved for those liquor licenses. So what this does, given what's happened and continuing to happen, it's probably going to happen for and be the way it is for some time, is this will alleviate that type of financial strain that there is on those businesses that have to have or need, and as part of their business, to have an annual liquor license by prorating it from the time that the governor had issued her proclamation closing those kind of establishments and prorating it, being as if those places will not have to pay for that during that time until those businesses that have these annual liquor licenses are able to go full steam again. And this urges the governor to please grant that kind of leniency on these businesses by prorating those licenses for those businesses. One of the other things that was included in there was, and I talked to City Clerk Bulkley about this, and that was the timely filing issue. And Kelly, you may want to address that as far as how that applies anyway. But that basically is what this 4-paragraph resolution is asking. I have written up a whole bunch of other things that included many more kinds of licenses, permits, and that, but we can go into that as a council further, and maybe that might happen in the discussion with Councilperson Klein's resolution that's up next.
All right. Any discussion on this liquor license resolution for the governor?
Yes, this is Sharon Juon. Can I just ask Mr. Morrissey a question? So this would start at the time of the proclamation closing the bars and restaurants until what such time? Until such time.
Until such time as the governor allows or is going to take that it's okay to be fully open. Fully open.
Okay, and I'm not reading that in the resolution, Mr. Morrissey. I think we need to have what that end date is.
Mrs.
Well,
Juon,
listen, we
in
don't know
the,
what the end date is.
Am I just missing it?
Pardon?
this is Kelly Felkley, City Clerk. The end of the resolution states that the City of Waterloo urges the governor to prorate 12-month liquor license fees while bars and restaurants are ordered closed. So for as long as the governor orders them to be closed, that's for the duration, that's for how long that we're asking that she prorate the license. So I don't believe that
So
an end date would be
implies-
necessary because we don't know when that would stop.
Okay, so it's implied that it would end as soon as she reopens the bars and restaurants.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon
Yes,
and Kelly, there is somewhat of a issue because if there is going to be a gradual reopening, and that's going to go for bars and restaurants, then that's not the same thing as being totally open. And I think that Sharon brings up a good point. Not that you need a end time date on it, but that what would be considered a end date, and that needs to be qualified in this resolution.
I agree. I think it's a little open-ended there. So if we could say until the governor fully opens, and whatever you want to add to that as a definition, I think would be helpful.
And Sharon, I would, if I might make this suggestion, is on that last sentence in Kelly, if this would fit in there, that the city of Waterloo urges the governor to prorate 12-month liquor license fees while bars and restaurants are ordered closed until they are fully open due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mr. Morrissey, could you please repeat that a little bit slower so I can get it written down in order to revise the resolution?
Well, I'll just say that, and if the other council wants to weigh in, they think that's okay. But after that phrase, "are ordered closed," it's a comma, and until such time as they are fully open. Comma, and then due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I would agree with that, Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Amos, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. My question was, Councilman Morrissey, is this including all liquor license or just certain ones?
Any place that has to have an annual liquor license, because the governor has already addressed those 14-day, 5-day, 6-month, and 8-month ones, allowing them to have refunds.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the reason that I'm asking that is I'm kind of curious as to whether alcohol sales have not increased in a lot of areas as opposed. I'm being serious.
Well, and I understand that, Jerome, but this does not apply like to a convenience store. This applies to bars and restaurants.
Okay, and that was my question.
Okay, yeah.
And
Michelle?
Can you hear me? This is Michelle Wiedner. I have a question because you can order liquor to carry out from bars and restaurants right now, and I don't know if they aren't required to have that liquor license just to be able to do that.
Well, Michelle,
Yep.
just ordering out at a couple of restaurants that do have that, they aren't doing the ones I talked to aren't doing carry-out liquor. But even if they were, their sales are so far down, I mean, that goes without saying, but the other part of that is, Ellie, it's my understanding that they still would be timely filing. Ellie?
Um,
I,
timely filing would be, the decision of the business owner. A lot of business owners do not do timely filing. They get their application turned in. Then inspections happen as usual.
Okay. Michelle?
I just thought someone needs to check that out because I don't know if the places that are allowing carry out may have to have some kind of liquor license. So you just may need to make provisions that they're not selling liquor in the, in what happens here. That was my only point.
Mayor,
Yes.
I think we're reading too much into this because all we're asking the state to do is prorate the fees. We're not asking them to deny their liquor license or postpone their liquor license. We're just asking them to prorate the liquor license fees for the time that they're out of business. So I think we're digging into whether they have carry out liquor, whether they have convenience, or all we're asking the state to ease up a little bit on the fees for these people.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a quick question that I don't know. Do all liquor fees go to the state? The city gets none of them?
The city gets a portion of the liquor fee, but the state controls when the fee is pulled, and then they send funds back to the city after the fees are pulled.
So this action would reduce the city's income from the liquor fees as well, then, correct?
That's correct.
And about how much is that? Is that a percentage, or what are we talking about?
Offhand, I can't tell you the number. It varies based off of the license.
But it would impact the city's income, as you know.
Correct. If the governor chose to do this, it would impact city's revenue.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the first part, on this first work session? All right, so we have our marching orders for this one next week. Now it is time for the next one. It's a discussion of a resolution issuing a moratorium on collecting fees from businesses ordered closed by the governor due to COVID. Mrs. Klein.
Yes, I think it's pretty straightforward, or directed toward what we have the power and control of, which is any business closed because of COVID-19 who generates a fee of any kind, or it be a fire inspection or a grease trap inspection, but any business and any kind of fees, fee direct and take them from. I'm not asking for those fees to be forgiven. I'm simply asking them to be held in abeyance, that we go through with the inspections, but that we do not collect the money for 30 days after the governor says those specific businesses can reopen.
All right, council.
Mayor,
Mr. Who was that?
Boyce.
Mr. Foyce.
Councilwoman Klein, are you, so in light of what the governor was kind of starting today with opening up businesses at 50%, is that the threshold for this then, is to say you can be open, or what's the threshold that you're looking at for this particular?
I would say that is a form of opening, yes. It is.
So, sorry, Mr. Mayor. So currently, like with, I mean, Black Rock County is one of the 22 counties that is still, under, I don't know what to call it, whatever we're in.
So once it opens up, and if it looks like Buchanan County, where, you know, you can have, you know, bars and restaurants at 50%, but not salons or any of those things. So we would like, it would be kind of a helter-skelter kind of fee collection then for 30 days afterwards.
I would do so unless, you know, I'm open to Mr. Place.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Boesen.
Thank you, sir. I would like to see, I agree with the premise of what we're doing, but if we're going to enact something like this, I would like to see
I can't hear them.
You can't either.
He froze. Is he still even on there?
Don't know what happened.
He's
I think he froze for everyone.
Let me text.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, while we're waiting for Mr. Boesen, can I ask, excuse me, so once a business is reopened in any fashion, then 30 days after that reopening is when we would start collecting fees again?
That's what I put in there. However, I am open to anything you might recommend instead of that. If you want it to go longer, that's fine. But let's talk it through. Let's help them in any way we can right now.
Mayor.
Yes.
So I think we all agree that we have to help businesses. However, what we're finding is that the scattershot approach by the state, which is what it is. I really believe that we should be operating off of CDC guidelines here. They have a 3-phased approach for when businesses should be opening. In my conversations with small business owners, many of them aren't necessarily comfortable if the governor were to order us open tomorrow, considering the fact that we have a little bit short of 1,500 cases today, with that number likely increasing. So I think it should be more based on the CDC phase guidelines, which call for 2 weeks of declining cases to start the clock for those certain businesses. And CDC already has that all lined out. I think that would help sort of mitigate some of the derogation within this, if that makes sense, because in phase 1, these types of businesses should be doing what they should be doing, and in phase 2, these businesses. And this is coming from doctors and other individuals. And so I would encourage us to look at that sort of phasing rather than what we're getting from Des Moines. That's just my 2 cents.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I see Councilman Boesen is back. I'll yield to him unless he wants me to go ahead.
Mr. Boesen, we have been anxiously awaiting.
Trying to, but I don't know why I don't have audio.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay. So I'll trying to point out is the hardship waiver that businesses filled out to apply for the waiver of the fees, and part of that waiver said that they would pay their fees in full at that 30-day mark, because we've got businesses that have outstanding debts long before the COVID-19 started on fees. So if for hardship, I would like to see that those fees were paid.
We didn't hear that last part. You said, I'd like to see that those fees get
paid when they get opened back up, because as I said before, we've had businesses that have owed these fees long before COVID-19 started.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clarify, at least in my mind, we're not stopping any of the fees. We're just halting the payment of the fees until 30 days after they reopen. So the definition of when they reopen, I understand with Mr. Grieder, but I just want to clarify, we're not stopping any fees. we are merely stopping, our collection of those fees until 30 days after reopen, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And in this case, we have to follow whatever the governor says. We don't have the authority to do it any different. So, yes, it's 30 days after the governor allows businesses to reopen. Now,
Mr.
some
Mayor.
may never have to reopen.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Grieder.
Well, I did drop some language so that we can give businesses the opportunity, because technically businesses have the opportunity to open whenever they want. That's up to the owner. So the language that I drew up was an amendment that we suspend fees beginning from the moment the governor allows businesses to reopen, and extending to a time period not less than 30 days from the time Iowa meets CDC guidelines to be open to allow the same benefit. And this would allow businesses to make their own judgment calls about what's best for their customers and for them, and it offers them choices, so that we can consider the health and well-being of our whole community. So that would, I believe, that language would thread the needle in terms of, if businesses want to open up when the governor says, that's on them. If they want to wait until we meet CDC guidelines in whatever phase their business falls into, I think that we should extend that. I don't think that we should, if business owners are uncomfortable with opening potentially when they can, and they want to wait it out because we don't know what this virus could potentially do, I think that we should, if we really want to help businesses, we should extend the hand while we're dealing with this whole problem. And so I think offering that timeline of whether they start when the governor opens them up or when the CDC phases it, we have that ability, we have that authority, and businesses have the right and should have the choice to be able to make those decisions. But I think that we should have a larger umbrella language to offer businesses choices, rather than feeling like they have to open up because the governor says they have to open up, even if they don't feel comfortable themselves, their clientele, or especially their workers.
And Mr. Grieder, let me see if just so I can try to understand. So with this particular resolution, this is just the collecting of fees, not when they actually have to open. Or are you seeing these kind of overlapping, or are you asking a different question based upon what we have in number 2? Because I think this was just once a business opens, we give them 30 days to pay the fees that they needed to pay, or holding off on that for a little while. Is that your understanding, or are you seeing something else different in this one?
So what I'm saying is right now, the way that we've drafted the resolution, the clock starts ticking, is my understanding of the way the resolution is worded, that the second that Governor Reynolds states that this genre of businesses can open, that starts the clock. What I'm saying is that, having spoken with small business owners, that some of them want to be able to make the choice about following CDC guidelines that have a more phased approach about following numbers of cases and those types of things, but would feel that they would be at an unfair advantage if they wanted to wait longer to meet the CDC guideline than the governor's guideline, if those were different dates in their mind.
Okay.
So it's extending that window, if that makes sense.
So it's given some flexibility on the closed by the governor, open by the governor. It's given flexibility on that language. So you're not saying don't do the moratorium. You're just talking about when the business opens up, have some flexibility on from then to the 30 days, whether it's through governor, whether it's through CDC, but giving them some flexibility because some may not feel comfortable opening Okay, I get it.
Absolutely, because I think business owners should get to make those choices. And if they want to open when the governor says it, then that's their choice. If some of them, given what clientele they have or who their employees are or whatever, they want to wait until those phases from the guidelines kick in. I just think that we should be as flexible with our business community so that they can make the best choices for them economically and for their health and for the community's health as well.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this is Margaret.
Mrs. Klein.
I understand where Mr. is coming from. However, in my mind, I think the city can't afford to forgive these forever or to postpone them forever or for any huge length of time, I would imagine. And the line needs to be drawn somewhere by someone, and our elected official in Des Moines is the governor of the state, and it was the governor's decision to close all of the businesses, and it will in the end legally be her decision to open them. And if we allow every business to make up their own mind, this could be stretched up to, a long, long time. So I think we really should stick to some kind of a line, a determination. And at this point, I think the determination has to be the legal one.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, just technically, I think I heard Mr. Boesen, technically the city can't afford any of these right now, so just to be honest. But Mr. Boesen.
Oh, well, thank you. I had a question for Kelly. If this language gets worked out and it's on next week, by the time it's posted in the paper, when would this resolution be?
When would it go? Can you say that again? I missed the last part.
When would it go into effect?
Resolutions take effect immediately.
Okay, so we don't have to post anything in the paper?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Morrissey.
Yeah, the question I have is the wording, especially the last number 2 says moratorium hereby enacted on collecting any fees from businesses that were ordered by the governor to close. What are the businesses that were ordered to close by the governor?
Well, perhaps that's I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Perhaps that's the cumbersome way of saying that she asked businesses to close.
But she just ordered them to close.
Well, in a sense, they were ordered to close.
They were not ordered to close, Margaret.
Well, all right. If you don't like phrasing, what would you change it to, Mr. Morrissey?
I guess I want to find out what businesses were affected by this as far as...
Because we're not addressing businesses closed during this time because they had intended to only close. We want to hit the businesses that were involuntarily for COVID.
Mr. Mayor, and Margaret, excuse me, but, and I continue to have this problem with voices cutting out, so I pick up maybe 3 words and I miss a couple, and so I don't even know for sure what Margaret finished saying.
Mrs. Klein, would you finish from Mr. Morrissey? Or
I asked if a different word would make it better. Could we switch that word instead of the word urged? If that's the word, what would you change that word to?
Well, I don't mind the using of the term urged by the governor to close.
Okay, compromise. Let's change.
But it doesn't address also exactly what permits, inspections, licenses, that you're talking about.
All of them, Mr. Morrissey.
But what
Any-
are they?
It encompasses all of them. I wouldn't, in my mind, I would not have a list right now for you. But it would anything that generates fee, any kind of a fee. I gave 2 examples earlier, but all of the things that generate fees, right, for these businesses.
And are these, and Margaret, are these permits, inspections, or licenses that are required by the state or required by the city?
I'm only addressing what we can control the city. I have no power to make the state or the federal government do anything, nor do any of
Then
them.
why are we asking anything of the governor?
Mr. Mayor.
I'm not addressing mine. That was yours.
Oh, you was asking the governor.
No, in hers,
Based
Mr.
on what the governor has done.
Well, it's based upon the businesses that the governor has issued closed or to urge to close. And so she's asking for some relief from them having to pay any fees for a particular period of time. And I would assume that would just, and I don't know, I can't put words in anyone's mouth, maybe bars, restaurants, which are kind of still open. You know, we have the schools are closed and they're going to pay fees on their new building. I would hope that it doesn't include that. I think, do you think, all think we need another work session, or Mrs. Klein, would you want this to go on just the way it is?
I would, outside of changing that word to urge, if we don't act, it's going to fade off because we will open sometime in May, and I'd like to get these people some relief.
Mr. Mayor.
All right. Are you done, Mrs. Klein?
Pardon me?
I wanted to give you the opportunity to finish before I go to someone else. Were you good?
So I am.
All right. Did I hear Mr. Amos?
Yes, you did, Mayor. I'm listening to all of these, and I have some concerns when we start talking about reducing fees or letting fees slide for a little while and collecting them later and all these different things that are going on. But my concern is we as a city have a lot more going on than just those fees coming in. We have an issue with revenue, period, from everything that I'm seeing. So for me, it's just a matter of maybe we are a little bit premature talking about cutting fees, giving people relief. We could even do those things after we get back to whatever our new norm is going to be. So for me, it's one of those things we need to be focusing on what our future is going to look like for this city from an income standpoint.
All right.
Because those fees that everyone is talking about that we will see reduced are what we're going to have to use to actually run the city. So I do have a concern with what I'm hearing, and, you know, that is my opinion on it.
Thank you, Mr. Amos. Mrs. Juon.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, excuse me, I said it earlier, we are not, Mr. Breyer said suspending, we're not suspending fees. Mr. Amos said cutting fees, we are not cutting fees. We are merely asking to delay the collection. That's my first thing, and I want to make sure everyone is clear on that. We're not cutting any. I could not support that because of what Mr. Amos says. The city is in dire need of fees.
Yes, ma'am.
Second, yeah, I'm concerned because we don't have a real tight definition there. Are we talking about ambulance fees? And that's huge. Are we talking about, there's a lot of new construction going on. What about the permit fees for the people that are out there building new houses? They're getting the income. Why shouldn't they be paying the fee? So that's why that we define it very closely.
Sharon, they are.
Mrs. Klein.
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Klein's floor, then it's you, Mr. Morrissey.
I was just going to respond to Mrs. Juon saying those businesses are open. Construction is going on. They're open. This does not apply to businesses that are open.
And the city is open, right?
There are some on. Ambulance services for continuing on. Construction booming, so they would be paying fees. This is to the businesses that no longer can have dinner at their restaurant or their hair salon, and they've been shut down and they're owned by private ownership, and there's no money coming in for these people, and their fees are due. I'm just delay fees.
So before I go to Mr. Morrissey, Mrs. Klein, would you like to get me a list of the businesses that you're thinking about? And then Mr. Morrissey.
Well, Mr. Mayor, to me, every business, regardless of whether they are permits, inspections, licenses, or whatever, has been affected and will continue to be affected by this for months to come. And that's just based on just common sense. If you don't have a vaccine, you don't have a way to ward it off, other than some of the measures that some places have ordered very strictly implemented. If you start and you have any vulnerability whatsoever, which this virus has shown that everybody is vulnerable to it, any business is going to suffer when any of their employees, any of their workers contracted and have to, go into the consequences of once it's contracted. So when I see, I applaud Councilwoman Klein for the the overall and the broad brush approach to this, but when it comes down to a resolution from the council, what I would expect would be what exact permits, what inspections, what licenses are we talking about here? And if we can prorate liquor licenses or ask that they be prorated, I think that we can do the same thing here. Because our city is going to be impacted, exponentially from this. And we need to get some relief and some help from the federal government as well as the state government. And so, in saying all that, all businesses are affected, and I would like to see the permits, the licenses that are inclusive in what this broad brush resolution is saying, which I think some of the language needs to be changed to tighten it up a bit so it more accurately depicts what is happening.
So, you down, Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
So, Ms. Klein, if you want to get some more language over the businesses you would like to see covered in those fees, we can put something on the council agenda to vote on.
All right. I don't agree that this is a broad brush. For closed businesses that have been urged to close by the governor of the state of Iowa, and it affects only them, not the ones, I know construction. I have been working in construction, and it's booming. So there are some that not hurting.
Right.
And so, but there are some that are desperately hurting, and I'm trying to get some relief, immediate relief, without asking for forgiveness.
Right.
I'm not asking.
All right. Well, you get that information to the clerk, and we'll go from there. All right. Thank you for your input, council. And I think someone wants to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made with second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, council. Mrs. Juon.
Okay, welcome to the Waterloo City Council Finance Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Morrissey,
Here.
Mrs. Klein, Mrs. Klein,
Oh, here, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Mrs. Juon.
Here. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda and minutes, please.
Motion to approve the agenda and the minutes of April 20th, 2020 as proposed.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Ask someone to take travel requests, please, the pre-authorizations, please.
Mrs. Chairwoman.
Didn't hear you, Sharon.
Yes, I'm asking for for someone to take travel requests and the pre-authorization.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, this is fine.
the first travel request is for Officer Wirtz. It's a class meeting arriving in recertification, destination Newton, Iowa. Date May 12th, 2020, amount not to exceed $200. The first pre-authorization is to expend over, it is for the building department in an amount estimated at $2,125. Pressure testing of equipment and piping systems for leak detection at Gate School. The second one is building department, amount estimated at $3,450. It's for proposal for geotechnical engineering services for the proposed 5 Sullivan Brothers renovation and expansion. The next one is for fire. The amount and estimated shipping is $1,785. It's for 1 year preventative maintenance service contract for 7 Dahl X Series cardiac monitor defibrillators. The next one is leisure services estimated at $2,600 for geotechnical evaluation at Greenbelt Lake on Martin Road. And the next one is police estimated shipping and handling. It's for clean, disinfect all areas and rooms of the police department. The next is sewer, $3,248.28 for 1 Lumic decorative pole for the 10th Street Bike Trail. Following one is sewer in an amount shipping and handling included of $6,464.08 plus $200 shipping and handling. And it's for the East Pump number 4 power and sensor cables. And the final one is for the sewer. It's for $17,868.12 plus $350, and it is for the Eastern Pump number 4 rebuild.
Second.
Discussion?
Chair,
All in favor, say aye.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Dave Boesen, is Major Liable there? I'd like to review on number 6.
Reliable here?
He is.
Yes, Major Liable is here.
Mr. Boesen, can Mrs. Weidner answer your question?
Well, my question is we're allocating $3,025 for cleaning and disinfecting all the areas and rooms of the police department. We've had one officer that tested positive for COVID-19, but is this going to be the last time we're going to do this? Because it's not like this disinfect's going to hold.
No, it's just kind of a baseline start. We're hoping it's the last time we're going to do it. We try to keep up, but right now we just thought it'd be good to get a good baseline clean.
Okay. But this may not be the last time we do this, correct?
Well, it might not be. I'm hopeful that it is.
Thanks, Major.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Morrissey, would you take the budget line items to be amended, please?
I'd be happy to.
Thanks.
First is, motion to approve the project budget amendment for the Leisure Services Memorial Gift Project to budget to spend donations received in prior years in the amount of $4,700 as submitted by Leisure Services. Next is to approve the project budget amendment for the Leisure Services Project Plant Some Shade project to spend $1,700 in donations received during the current year and donations received in prior years in the amount of $28,950.29 as submitted by Leisure Services. Next is to approve the project budget for the fiscal year 2021 East Charlotte Road Trail Extension Phase 2 project, funded 80% with federal funds passed through the state of Iowa in the amount of $474,000 and matched with $150,000 in bond funds as submitted by engineering. And last is to approve budget amendment for the Waterloo Housing Authority to use contingency fund in the amount of $2,100 for the voucher choice program and in the amount of $3,500 for Ridgeway Towers as submitted by Housing.
Second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Morrissey.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to draw the attention of the committee as well as the rest of council that on number 12, you look at those numbers and you see that 80% of that is and 20% do not match up. And I would ask if Chief Financial Officer Grieder could explain why there's that difference, that 150,000 basically amounts to nearly 25% rather than the
20%. Can you address?
Yeah, this is Michelle Wiedner. So we got a grant for $474,000. It's required to be matched by at least 20%. And engineering is now estimating that the project cost will be more than the 474 plus 20%. So we have to fund, the grant will fund 474, and we have to fund the rest, which is more than 20%.
Is that a question?
So I just wanted that explanation there, Madam Chair. Thank you, Michelle.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm going to kick off the discussion on other committee business, discussion of changes to the structure and content of the Finance Committee. After last week's meeting, I said that I would talk to all members and see where our sense of agreement was. And I will say that I have talked to Mr. Morrissey and Mrs. Klein, and they are in agreement. And the agreement is the pre-authorization expenses over $1,000, change that to $2,500. That travel is currently over 100, stay the same at 100. That refund stay the same as currently, and bill payments stay the same. I will say that the only other count that Mr. Boesen, he had spent on the pre-authorization, he would like the and was in agreement to payment same. I also talked to, I also talked to Mrs. Week, and she was here with the proposal as it was coming final with Mr. Morrissey, Mrs. Klein, myself in agreement, which upon asking this group to count for, ours would be a recommendation to the council and would discuss it more at the full council. So Mr. should then bring up your amendment to that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Madam Chair, referring to Kelly, the reception on my end of this is so terrible. I mean, everybody seems to be cutting out, and all I'm doing is audio, and I don't understand why this reception is so filled with interference.
One thing to keep in mind when you are speaking into the telephone, especially if you're using Zoom as well, keep some space between you and your device that you're using. A lot of times when you get really close or speak louder than normal, it can cause some interference on the other end. So just try and keep that in mind. We are getting a lot of feedback here in City Hall as well.
Is there any way to resolve that, Kelly?
No. Okay. Chris is saying it does seem to be mostly with Sharon, and it does look like it might be your connection. So you may need to just call in on the telephone and not do the video.
Madam Chair, it's Boesen.
Let me answer my question though. Is it me you're saying that's causing the?
It looks like, from what Chris is saying, it looks like your connection is kind of glitchy. So you may need to just call in on the telephone rather than doing video.
But I am hearing and seeing, and there's no problem on my end.
Right.
The only one having trouble with this, Mr. Morrissey?
Everyone is. We're having trouble on our end too.
You can't hear me?
You cut in and out when you speak, and your video freezes. But we can keep going.
Let's finish up finance and then I'll call in for the regular board meeting.
That sounds good.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Boesen.
Thank you so much. I would like to request a separate work session where we actually look at the travel and training policy. In our conversations we had this weekend, when you reached out to me, I think $100 on a travel request is ridiculous. I think that having to do a travel request to go out of Blackhawk County at no cost I think needs to be addressed. I would like to look at higher travel and training policy as a work session. I would like Kelly or Michelle to email out the travel policy to us prior to that work session. Just have a discussion on maybe updating so that it's more realistic with what other cities are doing, and so it's not just so burdensome on the department heads. I mean, we don't even have an electronic way to file travel requests. Everything's hard copy. I mean, I think we need to look at the whole travel policy and as a council and see if we can a little bit and make it more user friendly for the council and user friendly for the department.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Morrissey.
Yes, I would agree with Councilman Boesen that the recommendations that you talked about, that those recommendations be brought to the full council for a work session, and during that work session we can zero in on what Councilman Boesen is talking about.
Mr. Morrissey, can I ask, what would your thought be? Should we have a motion from the finance as the agreement between you and Mrs. Klein and myself, make that a motion, and just say that we would like to forward it to a work session of the full council?
Yes, with a provision that the travel and training policies as it applies to the finance committee and being put on for approval, that be an attachment that we can read going into that work session.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to approve kiosk at 2,500, travel at 100, refunds stay the same, bills payments stay the same, with the caveat that this be forwarded to a full council work session and that our current travel policy be forwarded to the full council prior to that work session. That's my recommended motion.
Can you,
Madam Chair,
I didn't get like half that.
or second, yeah, second.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
say that a
Kelly?
little bit slower? Because I have to be able to write this down. So can you start again?
The motion would be that the Finance Committee recommends pre-authorization expenses be changed to over 2,500. Travel,
Hold on a second. Okay,
travel at 100, the same. Refunds stay the same. Bill payments
hold on
stay
a
the
second.
same.
Okay,
And that recommendation be forwarded to a work session for the full council with the addition
hold on a second.
that
Okay,
with the addition that our travel policy be forwarded to the full council prior to that work session.
Sharon,
Yes, Ms. Morrissey?
can you add in their budget line item?
Budget line item.
Budget line item stays the same as well.
Budget line items for what, Mr. Morrissey?
Because that's part of our finance committee, agenda.
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Well, you would put,
Well, but the budget line items were never brought to us for change. That's anytime there's a budget line item, that'll still come to us. Correct?
okay.
Okay.
So that doesn't need to be addressed.
No, it does not.
Okay.
All right, is that correct, Mrs. Weidner?
That is correct. I was gonna try to say that I didn't bring those because I thought it was important to cover them. I'm not sure if, Councilor Morrissey has a change he's considering or what.
No, I'm not, Michelle, no.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, finally for bill payment, as in accounts payable dated April 27th, 2020, the amount of $3,274,139.96 received, file, and forward to the full council.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. And I will hang up from this and call